Okay, so this is the retention test for the second lesson in our driver swing with Dylan. So Dylan will be taking 2 shots from the side, 2 shots from the back, and 2 shots from the front. So go ahead. And from the back. Okay, that concludes the retention test for lesson 2. On to the 10-minute instruction video. Alright, this is the informational lesson 2 video with Dylan again. And so, Dylan, how many times have you practiced this? How many times do you practice this driver swing prior to this lesson?
Once.
He has practiced this once, just in case you couldn't hear it, because the speaker probably isn't that loud. Dylan has practiced this once, which is fine. So he's still relatively new with the skill. The 2 goals that we have established is the process goal that Dylan would like to work on is to work on his follow-through, and his product goal that he would like to work on eventually is to reach the 150-yard line within a driving range. So eventually we will get to that as we go further into the lesson. So to start off, we're going to start off with some stretches to loosen up our hips, back, and arms. So if you could hold this, and I'll demonstrate it. So for our arms, what we're going to do is we're going to bring our arms across our chest like this and hold it for about 15 seconds, and then we're going to switch. And then for our hips, we're going to do the Cobra yoga pose. So we're going to get down on our stomachs, and we're going to lay up, and we're going to bring our trunks up like this, and hold that for 30 seconds. And then for our hips, we're going to do a butterfly, and we're going to sit like this, and hold it for about 30 seconds again. So, camera back. So, Dylan, you can start with the arm stretches first. Hold that for a few seconds.
Just tell me when.
Alright, and switch. Alright, and you can switch to the butterfly now. Dylan is not that flexible. Hold that for a few seconds. Alright, and you could switch to the Cobra pose for your back. Yep, and just lift up like that. You feel it in your back? Alright, it's good. Alright, and you can get up. Alright, so to start off, what I'm going to have Dylan do is do at least 3 practice swings, just to kind of refresh his memory on the skill. So, you can go ahead and do that. Alright, very good. So, based off of that, what did you feel was a little bit off in your swing? Did you notice anything at all?
Still feels like my follow through is a little off.
Okay, yeah. Go through the list. Do you think your feet were planted and your knees were bent, your hips were square?
Yeah.
Okay. What about your arms?
Seemed pretty right.
Okay. How about your head?
I was probably pulling it up.
Yeah, you pulled it up a little bit through after the follow through, so you got to keep that down, and you got to keep that to the looking to the ball. So we'll work on that, but we'll go through everything that we did in the last video, and we'll start off from your feet to your head, and then go to your head. So we'll work our way up and try to refresh your memory a bit. So with the first part, we're gonna go to the feet. And do you remember what I mentioned last time and what we should do with them?
Shoulder length apart, slightly larger maybe.
Yep, shoulder length apart, a little bit larger maybe. And what was the second thing? Got to keep them planted to the ground.
Right.
So yeah, that's that. So let me just demonstrate that really quick. So yeah, with the swing, you want to keep them. I should do it from this side. I want to do it a little bit more than shoulder width apart, and keep your stance out, bend the knees, bring it back, and go. And I lifted up my feet a little bit, but yeah, just keep them stationary. So try that. So do at least 2 swings with that. Very nice. Okay. Alright, so next, moving up to the knees. I'll show you how that is done. So you notice in my stance, I'm not bending down like this. I'm only slightly bending them, so it's like I'm hovering over a chair. So that way, I have a comfortable stance going, and my feet are still planted, and they're staying more than shoulder width apart. So you want to keep that solid throughout the entire stance. So take 2 shots with your knees slightly bent and your feet planted. Very nice. Okay, next we could start with the hips, and we'll go from there. So, starting off, feet shoulder width apart, planted, knees are slightly bent, and then my hips throughout the entire motion stay square. So when I'm lifting up, they do not twist. So you're staying in like that and following through. Okay?
Okay.
Very nice. Okay. Alright, and next we'll work on the arms and the grip. So, if you could just go a little bit closer so you could get the grip right. So with the grip, as I said, so starting from the bottom up, feet shoulder width apart, knees bent, hips square, and with the grip, it's thumb on the top, thumb on the bottom, so thumb to thumb, as I mentioned earlier. And then my arms, as they get to this position, have to stay straight. So even if they bend over here, as soon as I get to this position, they should be straight out like that. Alright?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Perfect. Alright, and lastly, I believe, is the head. So obviously when you do your practice swings, you lift your head a bit. So all you have to do, I don't think I feel the need to demonstrate this, or need to demonstrate this at all. Just keep it down, look at the ball, and do not lift it on the way up. So try 3 swings with that. Very nice. Good.
Don't forget about the follow through.
Oh yes, and the follow through. Forgot all about that. So yes, the final thing, aside from the head, would be the follow through. But technically, you actually did demonstrate that pretty well from the hits that you just did. So yeah, that would be the last element that you would want to go over. Other than that, very good job. Do you have any questions for me?
Not that I can think of.
Alright, good enough. Alright, so next will be the final test after this lesson number 2 section. Okay, this is the post-test for lesson number 2. Dylan will be taking 2 shots from the side, 2 shots from the front, and 2 shots from the back. Alright, whenever you're ready. Alright, very good. That concludes the post-test.